Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here again with Geeky Sparkles, but that's okay. I don't think she really cares about the topic of this video. We're going to talk about Firewalk Studios. This is the studio that produced Concord, right? The high-profile failure, first-person shooter failure, hero shooter failure, $400 million budget. It had the plug pulled after... Geez, I think it was like 10 or 11 days, less than 2 weeks. And now Sony is confirming that they're shutting it down completely. It's done. And some people thought that maybe Sony would rework the game, bring it back. I'm like, this might be a great write-off for them on their taxes and just be like, yeah, this is a huge failure for us. We lost $400 million, guys. We're just going to write it down. But you know, when they do that, a lot of times they have to basically destroy the business venture. They can't salvage it. Look at what happened with Warner Brothers when they wrote off the Batgirl movie and some of the other stuff they did. They have to like destroy it completely. Like, this was a completely failed business venture. I'm not taking the L just to get money back on my taxes. I'm going to shut the whole thing down, shut everything down, everything associated with it down. It's just, it's failed. So there's got to be some kind of a tax law or something there in regards to that, because they always destroy the evidence, right? They always burn it down. Let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. This is coming from Insider Gaming. I saw Grums post it on Twitter earlier. So this is the first time I've read this, so I'm going to be reacting to this with you guys. Breaking news: Concord developer Firewalk Studios shut down by Sony. Sony shutting down Firewalk Studios. The news was first broken by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, and Insider Gaming was quickly able to corroborate with sources. Sony made the announcement public shortly after the news broke on a message on its official website. So we'll take a look at this when we're done with the article. We consistently evaluate our games portfolio and status of our projects to ensure we are meeting near and long-term business priorities, PlayStation Studios CEO Herman Hulst said. As part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen Sony Interactive Entertainment studio business, we have had to make a difficult decision relating to two of our studios, Neon Koi and Firewalk Studios. Hulst said that over the last few months, the team at PlayStation explored all their options regarding the game. Despite those efforts, however, the decision was made to close the studio and sunset the game for good. After much thought, we have determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. Yeah, so they're not bringing it back, guys. We're just the best path forward would be probably, again, for the taxes, if I had to guess. I mean, that's just speculation on my part, but I'm thinking if they're going to write this thing off, they have to burn it down completely. I want to thank all Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing Sony. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately we feel they're the right ones to strengthen our organization. Concord launched in August. Less than 1,000 players concurrently on Steam, and roughly 25, I think it was 600 and some, was peak concurrent, if I remember. Roughly 25,000 copies sold. The game was shut down 2 weeks later with talk of a potential return as a possible free-to-play shooter. Ultimately, that did not happen. Sony has moved on. There was no mention by Sony if all employees will be let go or moved to other areas within the company. Yeah, this is not good. We'll talk about where the reported budget came from, and actually, I think it came from Colin Moriarty. And he said that what he had heard was the game itself initially cost $200 million, but it was so piss poor, they had to outsource it and basically rebuild it to get it to where it was at, which was still piss poor. And it doubled the budget. It was like $400 million. And Sony just burnt that money. Can you imagine what an indie developer could do with $400 million? Anybody competent? But I mean, this was like, look, not to go back to the DEI thing, but this was a DEI-infused fever dream. Concord. This was like Overwatch, but woker. So a selling point for this game was that there were no white male characters. They were considered a minority in the game's universe because this was a more progressive game. Unfortunately for Sony, and they may want it to be different, but white male gamers, especially in the West, do make up the majority of gamers. And, this is one of those things where I think if it just kind of snuck under the radar, it might have actually done better, but because they made such a big damn deal about it and the people associated with the game made such a big damn deal about it, it blew up. And it was anti-marketing. Insider Gaming has reached out to Sony for clarification on employment status for those at Firewalk and Neon Koi. There have been nearly 14,000 known jobs lost to layoffs in 2024 within the games industry. Yeah, it's everything is crumbling. Everything is falling apart. And I'm telling you, gamers are so fed up with the state of modern gaming, and in particular AAA gaming, that they're just going back to playing old games. Or they're going to indie titles or something. There's no reason to really buy much of the AAA stuff coming out. And I know Ubisoft is delaying Assassin's Creed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they push it back to 2026, 2027. People still aren't going to buy it. The damage has been done. Right? And in this case, I think there were a lot of other issues beyond the DEI stuff. It's become another poster child for just a really bad idea. I mean, they charged full price for the game when all the other better, more established hero shooters were free to play. They didn't really seem to do a whole lot of promotion for it. I mean, I guess they showed it at a couple of the game shows or whatever, but kind of snuck under the radar. Right. And again, it was, anti-marketing. We had people associated with the team being, out and proud about how there were no white guys associated with it. And I'm like, well, guess what? There's no brown guys or girls or gay guys or gay women or whatever working at the company anymore because you went out of business. Right. So you had control of entertainment for about a decade. These activists, right? And these companies tried it your way. They've done it your way for a while to great detriment. And what do you think is going to happen now? They're going to go back to basics. They're going to go back to basics and be like, yeah, let's just make good games. Let's not do the DEI thing. Let's not do the, whatever. We're just going to make good games. And that's what's going to happen. And I've got another video coming up today talking about Washington Post and Jeff Bezos and all that stuff going on. And again, it's just, pivot to profit. You need to sell your stuff to the largest possible audience available. And taking hard political stances tends to alienate a good portion of your audience. I'm just saying. Anyway, here's the update from Herman. It says, "Dear team, I want to share some important updates from Sony Interactive." Yeah, he said we constantly evaluate our games portfolio. We talked about that. Here we go. Regarding Firewalk, as announced in early September, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional, but others did not land with enough players, and as a result, we took the game offline. We spent considerable time these past few months exploring the options. After much thought, and like you said, we determined the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. The PvP first-person shooter genre is competitive. It's a competitive space that's continuously evolving, and unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with this title. We will take lessons learned from Concord and continue to advance our live service capabilities to deliver future growth in this area. The lesson learned is don't listen to activists, don't give them $200 million and then have to spend another $200 million to fix their fuck-ups. Hire developers first. Hire people who actually like video games and don't look at the gaming industry as a platform for political talking points or activism or whatever, right? I know none of this is easy news to hear. This guy says, I'm a big believer in the benefits of embracing creative experimentation and developing new IP. However, growing through sustainable financials, especially in a challenging economic environment, is critical. Translation: there is no more free money. There's no more free money in Hollywood. There's no more free money in Silicon Valley. And there's no more free money for AAA video game developers. Either you produce titles that sell or you get the fuck out. I mean, that's basically where everything's going, right? And again, we had almost a decade of activists running the entertainment industry. And this is what happened. They crashed the ship into the iceberg. And now we need to go back to what works, right? We're going to learn from it, guys. We're going to learn from it. Well, it doesn't help the people that got laid off, does it? This comes from PlayStationLifestyle.net. And again, this is talking about, I think it was Colin Moriarty who mentioned the financials first on his podcast, that they suffered from toxic positivity. $400 million because they had to redo it. Yeah, Colin Moriarty. $400 million. Toxic positivity. This needs to stop. I mean, even, regardless of the DEI stuff, right? That is a definitely a motivator, but there is a lot of toxic positivity. People don't take a good hard look at their products anymore. Everything is great because people worked hard on it, and we want them to feel good and we want them to be proud, even when people get laid off. Look, in a different time, Herman wouldn't have been as nice. He would have been like, we laid an egg, it stunk up the place, you're all fucking fired because you didn't make money. That's how it used to be, right? Maybe people were a little too blunt back in the day, but yeah, basically you'd lay it out for the employees and just be like, we are not making enough money. You got to go, right? Sometimes there are circumstances outside your control. I've had to lay people off. I recently had to let some people go because of circumstances outside of my control. But a lot of times they're given every possible benefit, especially over the last 10 years, like infinite money, infinite marketing. The media is on your side and you still fuck it up. It's like, you just lay it out for people. Just be like, look, we had to redo the whole damn product. We had to remake it. We had to bring some people in that knew what the fuck they're doing. And we had to spend way too much money, and we can't do that anymore. And the free rides are over. This is why there's so many people that are unemployed now, because so many of these people shouldn't have been there in the first place. And part of it's DEI, and part of it, I think, is a generational thing. Part of it's just, laziness. I think the pandemic definitely broke people. They did not want to go back to work. A lot of people complaining about not wanting to go to the office anymore, even though that's the way we've done it for decades. I'm not saying it's optimal. I'm just saying that is how it is, right? People don't like that I say these things. Like I'll say, hey, the company, if you do XYZ thing, the company is going to retaliate doing this, that, or the other thing, right? And they don't like it when I say that. They think that means I agree with the corporation, and I don't always agree with the corporation. I'm saying it is what it is. You lose a company hundreds of millions of dollars, you lose your fucking job, and that's how it has been historically for decades. And somehow, because of all this venture capital and everybody being afraid to fire people because of their identity, or afraid to fire them because they're going to go out to social media and complain. Yeah, once that domino got knocked over, that very first domino, and I think that was tech started firing people. They're like, holy shit, we hired a whole bunch of people that don't know what the hell they're doing. They're screwing everything up, and we were too afraid to fire them when we should have. When it became apparent that you hired a bunch of incompetent people, when it became apparent that you hired a bunch of motor mouths who'd go out to social media and do anti-marketing for your company, they needed to fucking go. But nobody would fire people. They wouldn't fire them. Instead, they'd go hire 10 more. A lot of times these people would hire their friends, and that's how they took over like the entire entertainment industry. And then once Silicon Valley said, hey, we can fire like half the people that work for our companies, and it's not going to really affect us. In fact, we might become more profitable if we get rid of the static. And then everybody else is like, you know what? Let's do that too. Hollywood's like, fuck yeah, let's do that. AAA Gaming is like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's just toss these people overboard. Here's a thought. Don't hire unqualified people in the first place. There are plenty of qualified people out there that have all kinds of different identities and belief systems and genders, whatever. But you got to hire qualified people, right? You got to hire qualified people. That has been the hard and fast rule. Like, we are living in a bizarro world where unqualified people are getting hired for jobs. And some of these jobs are like literally life and death. See also Secret Service. And we've got buffoons being hired because of DEI checkboxes and, You know, we want to give everybody an equal chance. Harrison Bergeron, right? Not everybody's pretty. Not everybody's meant to be a ballerina. Some people just, that is their lot in life. They're not good at it. I don't want a brain surgeon operating on me because they were a DEI hire, right? And oopsie doopsie, they didn't know what they're doing, but that's okay. They just need a little extra time. There is no more time. There's no more time for these businesses to give unqualified people a chance. It's over. Now we got to make money. And yeah, we're going to see a huge course correction in gaming out of necessity. And I think everything is going to shrink. But we might actually get some good games. I'm okay with the game having graphics from 2 generations ago if it's a good game. I still play those old games. You know, I still play 8 and 16-bit games. You know, a good game is timeless. Pac-Man will never get old. Super Mario Brothers will never get old. The original Legend of Zelda, classic. Ocarina of Time, classic. And that's what we need to be focusing on. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.